Hey students, welcome back to another library time at my house. I'm actually sitting in my favorite chair that I love to read at. It's right by the window. As you can see, it's starting to get dark out. I hope you had another great day at your house and you learned some things and played and read some awesome books. I have a very special book to read for you today. Yesterday we read Penguin Problems and we wrote down some things, made a list of things that make us happy. One of the things that's in my list is cooking and baking, and I have a book that is perfect for that. So you're in for a treat today. This is the story we're going to read. It's called Fry Bread, and it's a Native American family story. And it was written by Kevin Noble Maillard and illustrated by Juana Martinez Neal. And it's actually, it's won an award, the Robert F. Siebert Medal of Honor. The illustrations in this book are outstanding. You'll get a real sense of community and family, and they'll be making a traditional bread called fry bread, so we'll learn more about that. And at the end of this video, we're actually going to make the fry bread together. So we'll be in my kitchen and you'll have another whole separate video of how to make fry bread. If you'd like to try it at home, you can follow along and make it. So this is Fry Bread, a Native American family story. And it's all about traditions and things that we like to make together, and learning from other people in our family, and special traditions. So you might have a tradition at your house or a recipe that your family has been handed down from generations before you, or special things that you do maybe for the holidays, and those are traditions. So in this book, Fry Bread is the tradition, and we're going to learn about some different Native American tribes and nations. One cool thing about the front of the book, right in the beginning, we have lots of words, but they're actually all lists of different tribe names and locations and nations of Native American people. So that's kind of special to be able to see all of their names, and it's in the front and in the back. Fry Bread, a Native American story, written by Kevin Noble Maillard and illustrated by Juana Martinez Neal. Fry bread is food: flour, salt, water, cornmeal, baking powder, perhaps milk, maybe sugar, all mixed together in a big bowl. I love this picture. I love that the kids are all holding different ingredients and they've got their big mixing bowl and they're going to be making this delicious fry bread. Fry bread is shape. Hands mold the dough flat like a pancake, round like a ball, or puffy like Nana's softest pillow. If you look closely, there's a bunch of different ingredients all over, and it looks like some people are using roller pins to roll out the dough. Some are using their hands. Some are kneading it, like pushing it down. So it can be in different shapes. Everyone's helping, even the little one. Fry bread is sound. The skillet clangs on the stove. The fire blazes from below. Drop the dough in the skillet. The bubbles sizzle and pop. Looks so yummy. Fry bread is color. Golden brown, tan or yellow, deep like coffee, sienna or earth. Light like snow and cream, warm like rays of sun. And look at it, they're all enjoying it. The fry bread is ready to be eaten. It's making my stomach growl. Fry bread is flavor. See beans or soup, smell tacos, cheese and vegetables, delight in honey and jam, rise to discover what brings us together. So it looks like fry bread can be eaten with lots of different toppings. And I guess it depends on how you make it and what you prefer on it. So it looks like they have like some cheese out, some beans, honey, looks like some jam, corn, lettuce, maybe some sour cream or whipped cream, I'm not sure. Tomatoes, some sort of like meat, maybe like taco meat. So it sounds like we could eat the fry bread with things that are savory, or things that are sweet. Fry bread is time. On weekends and holidays, supper or dinner, powwows and festivals, moments together with family and friends. We've got a beautiful family gathered around, tasting the fry bread, enjoying each other's company. Do you eat family dinners at your house where everyone's gathered around and you sit down and eat together, or do you do it differently? Sometimes it's fun to make sure you all get around together and talk about your day, enjoy the same kind of food. Fry bread is art, sculpture, landscape, portrait, our daily craft, shared from teacher to student, a cycle of heritage and fortune. Looks like they're learning different skills and activities. Fry bread is history. The long walk, the stolen land, strangers in our own world. With unknown food, we made new recipes from what we had. So it looks like they're learning some of their history and challenges they had to overcome. Fry bread is place. Alaska, Kansas, all the way to Maine, down to Delaware, on to Georgia, over to Oklahoma, Colorado, and California, cities and lands we call home. So fry bread is enjoyed everywhere. It's going to be enjoyed right here in Plattsburgh. Fry bread is nation. Abenaki, Apache, Arapaho, Ojibwe, Onondaga, Oglala, Sioux, Narragansett, Navajo, Nipmuc, Seminole, Shoshone, and Sac and Fox. Hundreds and hundreds of tribes. I tried really hard to pronounce those correctly. I looked up how to pronounce them before I read the book because they're all Native American tribes names and nations, and I wanted to make sure that I said them the right way. So hopefully I did them justice and I pronounced them correctly, because sometimes it can be a little tricky when you're not familiar with them. And if you look careful, all of the names of different tribes, hundreds and hundreds of them, are written on this wall that they're looking at. Fry bread is everything. Round, flat, large, small, north, south, east, west, brown, yellow, black, white, familiar and foreign, old and new, we come together. This picture is absolutely beautiful. Fry bread is us. We are still here, elder and young, friend and neighbor. It looks like the family is celebrating each other. We've got grandparents, elders, young kids, all together, loving each other. They're even holding a picture of maybe someone who isn't with their family anymore, or maybe they're far away. So it's a nice way to remember someone in our family when we gather. We strengthen each other to learn, change, and survive. Ooh, looks like they're sneaking some fry bread. My cat's over there like, ooh, I think the cat might want some. Fry bread is you. That's one happy kid. And that's the end of the book. Now, something super special about this book, I recommend everyone buying it and having a copy of for yourself, is that there is a recipe in the back of how to make fry bread. So this is Kevin's fry bread, and Kevin is the author, so I'm guessing that this is his special recipe that we're going to actually make. And it gives us all the directions over here. So what I am going to do is after I stop this video, I will go and record me making fry bread in my kitchen, and you'll be able to follow along if you'd like, and I'll tell you all the ingredients and everything that you need. Also, after the story, there's a bunch of notes about information about Native American culture and traditions and history. So if you get a chance to take this book out of a library or buy the book, you would be able to read some more information. I will read this part here because I think it's important. It gives us a nice little overview of how fry bread came to Native American tribes, and I'll let you read the rest when you take the book out of the library or you buy the book. So it says, author's note, the story of fry bread is the story of American Indians embracing community and culture in the face of opposition. It is commonly believed that the Navajo were the first to make fry bread over 150 years ago. The basic ingredients may appear simple: flour, salt, water, and yeast. Yet the history behind this community anchor is anything but. Despite colonial efforts through American history to weaken tribal governments, fracture indigenous communities, and forcibly take ancestral lands, Indian culture has proven resilient. In strange and familiar lands, exiled natives strived to retain those old traditions, and they created new ones, especially for food. Survival meant adapting, and those ancestors isolated from familiar meats, fruits, and vegetables got by with what they had. Without the familiar indigenous crop of corn, historic farming practices and dietary traditions drastically changed. Many tribes trace the origin of modern Indian cooking to this government-caused deprivation. From federal rations of powdered, canned, and other dry government-issued foods, fry bread was born. And you could go on to read more about more facts about Native American culture and fry bread and some history behind how it came to be. I love this book a lot. And at the end, it also cites different books that they used and research that they did to help write the book and give those facts and information. And then gives you some ideas of other books, if you're interested, that you could read. And there's one last picture of everyone together. And then, of course, we have all the names again. I love this book. And I can't wait to try fry bread. It reminds me of fried bread dough that we sometimes will get at festivals or carnivals. Sometimes we make it at our house, but it sounds a little bit different, the ingredients. But I'm excited because it is going to be pretty tasty from what I can gather. All right, friends. Well, stay tuned after this video if you'd like to learn how to make fry bread and help me cook in the kitchen. And this video is going out to the Myers kids. So this is going to Miss Bayla Meyer, who is a 4th grader over at Oak Street, and Adley Meyer, who's a I think she's in 1st grade, but I don't know if that's right. She might be in 2nd now. I think she might be in 2nd. Adley, I haven't seen you in so long. I don't remember what grade you're in. And Dax, who's in kindergarten. So I hope you enjoyed this story, Myers kids. Thanks for always tuning in and sending me pictures. I really appreciate it. Makes my day so much brighter and happier when I get some messages from all you kids. So stay tuned. I'll give more shout outs every book that I read. All right, stay tuned for cooking. Hey students, welcome to my kitchen. So you just heard the story Fry Bread, and I'm so excited to get started on making the recipe that's in this book. So the cool thing about this book is that the ingredients are listed here, and then there's 4 steps that we're going to follow to make fry bread, and I'm really excited because I think it's going to be super tasty. So first I'll go over the ingredients listed that we'll need, and I like to have everything out and ready to go so I don't have to worry about measuring as I'm going. And I did try this once before this video and I learned some things. So I'll try to walk you through the steps as I go. But here are the ingredients that you're going to need. So the first thing that you're going to need is you're going to need like a medium-sized pot that can go on your stove to boil and make things. And then you're going to need 1 pint of boiling water. Now here's a math challenge. How many cups are in a pint? So I'll let you think about that or Google that, find that information out. We're gonna do some math here. All right, so maybe you found the answer by now. If you said 2 cups is 1 pint, you are correct. So we need 2 cups of water, and we're gonna put that into the pot first and start boiling it. Then it calls for 1 cup of cornmeal, and I measured out the next ingredient, so it's 1.5 cups of cold water. So I have that ingredient ready to go. Then you need dry active yeast, and this comes in usually little packs like this. You can get it at the co-op downtown. You could go to a grocery store, they should have it. You're going to need about 1/2 ounce, so that's about 2 packages of this. So when we get to that, that's what we're adding there. Then we need 1 cup of raw sugar, so I measured that out into this bowl. We need 1 teaspoon of sea salt. So I didn't have sea salt, I have pink Himalayan salt or regular salt. So I used the pink Himalayan. I don't think it really matters as long as you have 1 teaspoon of some sort of salt. And then you need 3.5 cups of flour. So we have that. And you're then going to need quite a bit of coconut oil. So this calls for 32 ounces. That's a lot. You could also use canola oil or vegetable oil to actually fry the dough. So the oil part is only needed to put the dough in and fry. So whatever you have, I think will be fine. Probably not olive oil, but I would say coconut oil or canola or flour will do fine. Or vegetable, not flour oil. Okay, so here we go. So the first step is that you're going to take that 2 cups of water and you're going to put it in the pan or the pot that you have, and then you're going to put it on high and let it boil. So I'm going to pause the video, and when we get to that point, I will give you some more advice. The step after that, after it boils, is we're going to add that 1 cup of cornmeal. And my recommendation is to add it very slowly and use like a whisk to make sure all the lumps get out, because the first time I tried, I just dumped it all in and it was a big clumpy mess. So I'm going to try that this time. Hopefully it works. All right, friends, I'll start the video in a second. Why don't you get all your ingredients out and maybe get your water boiling before you start the next part. All right, see you soon. All right, so I'm over by my stove right now. I'm trying to make this work with recording and also stirring and making sure all the lumps get out, so you'll have to bear with me. You may or may not see the pot at sometimes, and you may or may not see me, but you'll at least know I'm still here and you'll hear my voice. So what I did was I brought all of the things that I'm gonna need. So I've got my pot and it's about to start boiling. I can see some steam rising up from it, starting to bubble. But I brought over the other water that I'm gonna need to add, the cold water. And then I also brought over the cornmeal that I'm gonna be adding slowly. And I brought over 2 utensils because I'm not really sure which one's gonna do the best job. But I brought over a whisk and I brought a wooden spoon. So I'm noticing that the water is just about to start boiling. So I'm gonna lower this as much as I can. You can see the steam coming up from it. And eventually I'll tip it because I think that'll work just as well once I start adding things. So it's lightly boiling, so I'm gonna actually start adding it now before it's like a big roll of and I'm just gonna add it in, and it looks kind of milky, like a yellowish milky color. I'm gonna keep adding in a little bit, get all those lumps out. I think this is gonna be way better than the first time I tried, when it was just a big lumpy mess. And it smells very corny as you're adding it, and not like bad jokes, like bad dad joke corny like the smell of corn. So as you're stirring, you're gonna start smelling the smell of corn, which is good because we're adding cornmeal, so to be expected. So now it's definitely a boil, and I'm glad I started a little bit sooner, so I'm gonna keep adding. I see no lumps, so that's really good. I can't let go of this whisk because it is really boiling now. I'm gonna turn down the heat a little bit to medium because I know that once all the cornmeal's in and we add the cold water, we're gonna turn it down to like a medium temperature to stir in the cold water. And I'm almost out of cornmeal. That was my last little batch. Let me turn this so you can see it. So it's really thick. Looks like a pudding kind of. And I don't see a lot of lumps, so I'm really happy with that. Way better than my first attempt. All right, so now the directions say, once it's nice and smooth, which I'm happy with this, so I'm gonna say that's smooth. I like using this whisk, so I would suggest using a whisk when you're adding the cornmeal. Now I'm going to add the cold water in. I'm gonna add a little bit at a time and stir. Oh, that's nice. All right, and then I'll add the rest. So it was 1.5 cups of cold water. And it kind of looks like a soup now. And I turned the heat down to medium, like the directions side. Now, I think I can leave this for a second just to check the directions, make sure I'm doing this right. So I'm gonna put my spatula down. Let's see. So it says, stir continuous to prevent lumps in the mixture, remove from heat and let cool. All right. Well, I should probably back up here. Reduce heat to medium, add cold water, and cook until thick. All right, so I'm gonna keep stirring, and I'm gonna let this thicken up a little bit. And as I'm stirring this, let's talk about aprons. Do you have an apron to cook in? This is my full apron. I like it a lot. It's got pears and apples on it. Aprons are always a good thing to use, especially when I cook because I make a mess. And I usually need something to wipe my hands on, so I'll just wipe it on my apron if I'm in the thick of cooking. All right, so this is pretty thick. The directions don't say how thick, so I'm gonna guess that this is probably good. I don't know if it's gonna get much thicker, but it kind of looks like applesauce. It smells like corn, looks like applesauce. All right, so then the next direction is let it cool. So I'm gonna say it probably is gonna have to cool for quite some time, like an hour maybe. I'm gonna move it off of the hot over to this one and kind of let it sit. So let me hold this up one more time so you can kind of see the consistency. It's looks like, oops, spilled a little bit. That's great. It looks like applesauce, baby food. All right, friends, I'm gonna stop this, let this cool for an hour, and then I will be back for the next steps. All right, see you soon. We are back, and the cornmeal has cooled, so I'm gonna follow the next direction. So step number 2 is add the yeast, the sugar, and the salt to the cooled cornmeal, along with some small sprinkles of water to moisten the mixture. Gradually add the flour using a metal whisk or potato masher to get rid of the lumps. Sprinkle water to keep dough moist but thick. Cover with a damp cloth and let rise for 3 hours. So I am going to take my sugar that I've measured out. So it was 1 cup of raw sugar, and then I'm going to add the yeast to it. So each packet of yeast is 7 grams, which is 1/4 of an ounce. So to get 2 packets is exactly what you need, because you need 1/2 of an ounce. So 1/4 plus 1/4 is a half. So I put 2 packets into this small bowl, and I'm actually going to add it to the sugar and kind of stir everything together so you don't get clumps of just the sugar or just the yeast. I'm also going to add the salt to that too, and then I'm going to take this tiny spoon and just kind of stir it around. So the salt, the yeast, and the sugar. So it was a teaspoon of salt that I just added. So I'm stirring that around. It looks pretty good, and looks like it's pretty evenly stirred. And I'm gonna just take it and start adding it to the mixture, the cornmeal mixture. All right, and I think I'm just gonna use a regular spoon to stir this. And the directions said to keep sprinkling with like a little bit of water. So it's kind of moist right now. I don't know if you can see that, but it's like kind of clumpy. It's like a very thick pudding. I don't know if it needs water because it's pretty, looks like it's pretty moist still. So I'm gonna keep adding some of the sugar and yeast mixture. Okay, I'm gonna add the rest of it in. Okay. I don't think it needs any sprinkles of water like the directions said. I think it is looking very thick and wet, and it still moves a little bit when you move the pot around. So I think we're good with adding water, but if yours looks really dry, I just had a little bit of water right here set out that I was going to kind of sprinkle in with using this tiny little teaspoon. So, but I don't think I'm gonna need that. So I'm gonna let this kind of sit for a second, and then I'm gonna look back at the directions to make sure I'm doing everything right. Put my spoon down over here. All right, so back to the directions we go. All right, so now it looks like we're ready to gradually add flour by using a metal whisk or potato masher to get rid of lumps. So I have both of those things ready to go. I'm gonna move this back here because that's actually my, I measured out the coconut oil and melted it. So I have 32 ounces of coconut oil, which if you do some math, you can figure out 32 ounces is 4 cups. So it's 4 cups of the oil that you're going to be using to fry it in. All right, I think this part you're going to need some mussels. So I brought the whisk over with me, and I also have a potato masher like the directions say. So I'm thinking I'm going to add the flour in kind of slowly and use the whisk, and then maybe I'll be switching back to the potato masher. I'm gonna move these things out of the way because I don't need them. So I'm just gonna put in a little bit and see how this goes. I think slow and steady is going to win the race again, and just a little bit, mix it in, keep doing that. Yeah, so I would just do like a little bit, mix it, little bit, mix it, because this seems to be doing what it needs to do so far, but it's not super thick as of yet. And I think it's going to get kind of thicker as we go. It smells really good, so I'm excited to try this. It is sticking quite a bit to the side, so you want to scrape those down. I think I might get a spatula just to scrape down the sides too, because I think it's gonna need it. So let me go grab one of those. Okay, so I got my handy dandy spatula. Gonna make sure I get all the sides. Okay, and I'm gonna add a little more flour. And it's definitely thickening up, like looks more like a dough now than applesauce. So I think it's slowly getting to where we want it to be. Yeah, it's definitely looking more like a dough now. Okay, a little more flour. Or I'd say we're like halfway done with the flour, which is crazy to me because it seems like it's pretty thick right now, but I guess it needs to be very thick in order to keep its shape when you go to fry it. That's my guess. Oof, this is getting hard to do. I know the other day we watched or we read that story, Penguin Problems, and we talked about writing things down that make us happy and we can go back to when we're feeling a little grumpy. And I would say maybe cooking and baking, I know it's definitely in my happy book for sure, because it's fun. And then hopefully everything tastes good and you can eat it afterwards, right? Even when it doesn't work out though, it's still kind of fun. And actually, I didn't think I would like recording myself cooking, but it's actually kind of fun. It's like having a little cooking show. Oh, my arm is getting a workout, kiddos. All right, so this is getting too thick, I think, to use. Well, I think I'm gonna keep using it because it seems to be doing a good job. All right, probably 2 more times of putting in flour and then we'll be done with the flour. You know, I'm thinking that maybe next time when I make this, I would probably use my mixer, my KitchenAid, because I think it would be helpful. The directions don't say to do that, but I think for your sake of your arm, you're definitely gonna want an adult to help you with that. Or try it with the mixer and see how it goes. All right, so I think I'm about ready to put the last bit of flour in. Okay. All right, all the flour's in. I think I'm gonna switch to the spoon for right now, just to get it in. Fold it in and stir. And it is definitely looking very dough-like now. Whew. Take a turn stirring with this hand. Whew. So after this gets stirred in, the directions say to let it sit for 3 hours. So it seems like there's a lot of waiting in this recipe, which is good because we have a lot of time in our hands. So it's the perfect time to make this. We're not in a rush to go anywhere. And sometimes waiting is the best part. It makes it all worth it. So this is definitely nice and thick, like dough should be. Ugh. Let me hold this up so you can see. So watch. It's like very sticky still, but dough-like and heavy. So that's it. I'm gonna check on the directions, and then I think we just have to wait 3 hours. So it says, we got rid of lumps. There are no lumps in my dough. Sprinkle water to keep dough moist but thick. Cover with a damp cloth and let rise for 3 hours. So the yeast is going to help rise this dough. It's gonna get kind of big. Right now it's like thick and heavy, but the yeast is gonna make it like a little lighter and airier. So we're gonna rise the dough, and we're gonna let this sit with a wet cloth that I'm gonna make. And just scraping down the sides so we get all the dough in one spot. To sit here for 3 hours. All right, so my wet cloth is here, and I just took a cloth that I knew was gonna fit over the top of this and wet it, and I'm gonna let it sit here for 3 hours. And we'll check back in about 3 hours. All right, take care, kiddos. Okay, so we are back. It's about 3 hours after I last saw you, and I have really good news. The dough has risen. So it's supposed to be springy and sticky, and if I touch it, my hands are clean, I washed them, it kind of jiggles a little bit. So I don't know if you can see that, but when I touch it, it kind of springs back, and it is a little sticky on my fingers. So I think it's exactly the texture that we need. I started to put the coconut oil in the pan, so that's heating up right now, and it should be ready soon. I'm going to read the directions out loud from the book. So we're on step 3. Once the dough has risen, it should be springy and sticky. Heat the coconut oil in an iron skillet to medium temperature. Test the heat by dropping a small portion of dough into the oil. It should gently sizzle but not splatter. Use 2 large oiled spoons to make golf ball sized portions and dip immediately into the oil, submerging the entire ball. Re-oil the spoons in the skillet to make new balls of dough. Leave room in the skillet as the balls will expand in the hot oil. So that's all of step 3. It sounds like once the coconut oil is hot enough, I'm going to test it with just a little part of the dough, and then I'm going to dip these in the oil and then kind of use them to make little ball shapes and then put them into the sizzling oil. So that's the plan. And then once you get enough of the dough balls in there, step 4 is let the dough fry until it cooks to your desired color, light golden or dark brown, and it takes about 3 minutes. You can use tongs to flip the balls over to cook on the other side. Remove from oil and transfer to a paper towel lined bowl, separating each level with new paper towel, and then eat while they're hot. All right. So I am going to pause the video and make sure that the oil is starting to heat up, and then get the bowl with the paper towels all set. I don't actually have paper towels at my house. I use reusable paper towels. like cloths, so I'll just use those, which I think will be fine. And I'm gonna get some tongs so I can flip the dough when I need to. So I'm gonna get those things together, and then I'll turn back the video, and I'll probably move it closer to where the action's happening also. All right? All right, we're almost there for our fry bed. Okay, so the oil seems to be hot. I'm dropped in a little bit of the dough like the directions said. And oh yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay, so we've got a nice little brown color on that test piece. So I think we might be good to go. So I'm gonna put the camera down. It looks like the oil is hot enough that it's cooking it. So I'm gonna put the camera back on the stand so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, so I have my spoons and I'm gonna dip them in the oil, the hot oil. So this is definitely something that you'd probably want adult help. I'm gonna tilt this down. Okay, so here's the pot that I'm working on. So I'm dipping the spoons in the oil so they have some on it, and then I'm going and grabbing some of the dough, and I'm gonna make kind of like a ball shape with that, and then into the oil it goes. So I'm gonna move the camera so you can see that a little bit better. All right, so we've got some simmering action happening. You can hear it sizzling. All right, hopefully you saw that. Sorry if you're getting dizzy. The directions said to keep your spoons well oiled, and I totally understand why, because the dough is very sticky. So if your spoons are not oiled, the dough is gonna stick to them. And then I just plop it into the hot oil carefully. Oops, I forgot to dip. You wanna dip in between each time you get the dough ball, because it is really sticky and it starts to build up on your spoon. So, all right, so I'm gonna get another little chunk, and then you use the spoons to kind of make like a little ball shape. And then you put it in. And I'm about to take one out. So this one I think is done. I'm gonna put my spoons down and use the tongs that they suggested, because I think that it'll be better. All right, so here is one that's done. It's kind of like a nice brownish, golden brown, light brown, like they said in the book. And I'm gonna put it right on to the reusable paper towel. If you have regular paper towel, go ahead and use that. And here's one that was done, one of the test drops that I did. So you can kind of see in it that it's like very much like a donut. And it tastes very sweet. It's like kind of chewy in the middle. It's really nice, has really good flavor. So it's a little bit like sticky still in the middle, but it's definitely like cooked, and it's really it tastes really nice. It's really good. Not exactly what I was expecting. All right, so I'm gonna flip a couple more in here and then take them out. And then make sure my spoons are well oiled. I'm gonna keep adding them in. I think I'm gonna be doing this for a while because I have a lot of dough here. And it's just me to eat them. My sloths went to bed, so they can't eat that. Maybe I'll save it for them for the morning, for their breakfast. And my moss doesn't eat anything except for water and light. So I think I'm gonna be eating fried bread for a while. All right, here comes another one that's ready to be coming out. So here we go. I'm gonna put it in the bowl that I have ready with the paper towel in it. And this one's done. Get some of that oil off, put it in there. All right, and I'm gonna keep doing that until I run out of all the dough. And then I'll check back in with you at the end and we'll see how it goes. All right. Okay, so we are done with our fry bread. I cooked all the dough. It made quite a big plate full. And I played around with how long to leave it in. This one's pretty dark, probably my darkest of all, to lighter. And I'm just about to try a little bite again. It's really good. It's sweet and kind of like sticky in the middle. It's like a donut, kind of. But it's not super sweet. It's good. I could see like maybe putting some jam on it or maybe rolling some powdered sugar on it. Maybe a little maple syrup would be really good. And I could kind of see maybe putting some cheese with it. I don't know if I understand the putting beans and like salsa and those kinds of things on it, but maybe if it didn't have so much sugar in it. So maybe playing around with the recipe, because it did say that fry bread was different, wasn't all the same. So this one is more of a sweet kind of bread. It's really tasty. I definitely have a lot here, so I'm gonna be busy tonight eating lots of fry bread. So enjoy. If you made it, share it with your family. Talk about the book Fry Bread with them. And take care. It was fun cooking with you. Bye, kiddos.